Often, when you ask older people what regrets they have in life, more than likely, they're going to mention that they wish they had traveled more. From a young age, I saw this question asked and it made me wonder, am I going to regret not traveling? I was around 16 at the time, and since I couldn't travel abroad, I began delving into the rabbit hole of watching travel videos on YouTube. Living in Salem, Oregon, I was fortunate enough to have many local areas that most would consider travel destinations. Within 1 to 2 hours of my home, I had Silver Falls State Park, Abaco Falls, the Oregon coast, Portland, Oregon, and Central Oregon with all of its mountains to visit. Without me really knowing it, traveling and seeing new places changed who I was. I developed a respect for the world and the different people living in it. It wouldn't be until my senior year of high school, though, that I would be given the chance to really travel the world. I was given the opportunity to compete in a program called Down Under Sports. They invited athletes across the United States and flew them to Australia to compete in different sporting events. I was invited to the track and field competitions, and with the help of my parents and people from the church I went to at the time, I collected enough money to be able to travel to the Gold Coast in Australia in the year 2018. This is what truly cemented my love for travel. It was the first time I traveled out of the country, and it was also the first time I was on my own without adult supervision. We had to attend mandated practices and field trips, but in our free time, we were free to explore the Gold Coast. The skyscrapers lining the beaches and the pristine oceanfront that the city had to offer instilled a feeling of awe that is now a feeling that I constantly strive to feel. Though the culture of Australia isn't crazy different compared to the United States, I still experienced a world that was outside of my small worldview. I learned that though I'm from the Pacific Northwest, a place that I thought had no accents, I had what Australians called a Hollywood accent. I experienced wildlife and flora that I'd never seen before. I held a koala, saw so many kangaroos, and was there for a week and a half, but that trip truly cemented my love for travel. From there, I went to college, and due to unfortunate circumstances of COVID-19 and chronic back injuries, I wasn't able to do much in the way of traveling. From 2019 to 2022, I struggled hard with mental health and depression. I'd been working for a few years and saved up a good chunk of money when I decided to plan another trip. I convinced my cousin to join me, and together we planned a month-long trip to Japan set for February 2023. I was halfway across the world and I felt a feeling of freedom that, again, I still try to grasp in life. Me and my cousin purposely only planned a small number of things we wanted to do, and the rest of the time, we planned to improvise on the fly and journey wherever Japan decided to take us. For an entire month, we traveled throughout central and southern Japan, staying in cities such as Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima, and Miyoshi. Less than a year later, I was traveling to Switzerland. My sister and I share birthdays in the month of January and planned a trip to Switzerland for January of 2024. My plane took off in Seattle a few days before her flight took off in Spokane, Washington. Due to unlucky circumstances, my flight took off right before a major ice storm hit the PNW, and her flight was canceled with no refunds for another. So I found myself on my own in Europe on a trip that was meant to mirror the trip to France that my family went on without me and my sister. I still got to experience the city of Grindelwald and its majestic mountains and scenery, but in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but feel sadness for a trip that could have been with my sister. I'd bought the Airbnb in Grindelwald and she had bought the Airbnb in Zurich, and we agreed to cancel the Zurich Airbnb since she could still get a refund on it. This cut the trip in half, and the flight I had originally had to fly back home had to be moved a week earlier. Thankfully, my sister helped, but I still felt bad about all the money that she spent, and in the future, I do plan on making up for everything with an all-paid-for trip with just the two of us. Though the trip wasn't everything that I'd hoped for, I still got to experience the beauty of the European Alps, which had curated my love for the mountains. When I got back, it would be less than 2 months later when my roommate at the time asked if I wanted to go on a road trip to Vancouver, Canada. Living in Salem at the time, it was a 7-hour car ride, but being the spontaneous travel I am, I agreed, and in March of 2024, we went to Canada. It was a shorter trip, only being a few days, but we still explored the city life and the surrounding outdoor areas, even going to Squamish, 40 minutes north of Vancouver. Traveling had become a part of my identity, and I had a goal of traveling out of the country once a year if I could. The only thing better than traveling to me was traveling with the people I love, and in 2025, my sister and I convinced our family to take a family vacation to Banff National Park in Calgary, Canada. There, with my family, we experienced the most breathtaking landscapes that I'd ever seen. The Canadian Rockies had never truly been on my bucket list, but after that trip, I've had a longing to go back. That trip would be the last international trip that I've taken so far, but that didn't stop all the traveling that I did. A friend and I traveled to New York to visit another one of our friends living in Manhattan, and for 5 days, I got to experience the Big Apple and all the culture it had with some of my friends. Traveling is expensive. It's uncomfortable at times, exhausting at others, and for many people, it can feel completely out of reach. But whether it's across the world or just a few towns away, traveling has a way of changing you. It reminds us that the world is far bigger than our routines, our worries, and the small corners we spend most of our lives in. When you travel, you don't just see new places, you see new ways of living. You witness different cultures, different struggles, different joys, and different perspectives. You begin to understand other ways of life instead of judging them, and you see the beauty that the world has to offer. You realize that despite all of our differences, every person is simply trying to live, dream, and survive in their own way. And in that understanding, compassion grows. Some of the most unforgettable moments in life aren't from the things you can buy. They're fleeting moments where you go somewhere and experience something you've never seen before. Those experiences stay with you forever. And when people are asked later in life, what do you regret not doing? One answer appears again and again: traveling. Because time changes us. Our bodies grow tired, the long flights become harder, hikes become exhausting, and the adventures we once postponed slowly become impossible. So even if traveling has never been your dream, take the chance at least once. Step outside the life you've always known. See the world through a different lens. Because one day, when you look back on your life, you may regret the memories you never made, the places you never saw, and the moments you were too afraid, too busy, or too comfortable to experience. Because in the end, the world has too much to offer to spend in one place. Life is measured by the moments that make us feel alive, the moments spent with the people we love, and the endless stories we can tell the next generation. Those are the memories that stay with us forever. So even if traveling scares you or feels impossible right now, travel when you can, because one day the greatest regret may not be where you went wrong in life, but all the memories and stories you never allowed yourself to make. Thanks for watching. Go create some memories and travel often.